Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Fuller. I'm a senior data engineer at TigerGraph. Um, with me today, I have Gaurav Deshpande. He's our VP of Marketing at TigerGraph. We're going to spend a few moments talking about driving e-commerce revenue and profits with personalized recommendations powered by Graph Database and ML. We're going to spend about a few minutes giving you a product overview, talking about some of the high value use cases with graph databases and driving e-commerce revenue. We're going to spend a few minutes giving you a product demo. And then at the end, Gaurav is going to come through and show you how to kind of follow up if you have any additional questions with TigerGraph. One of the things that's been pretty prevalent in the industry today is this whole concept of digital transformation. Ultimately, what you're trying to go through is figure out how to influence your customer experience to impact e-commerce revenue and profits on all of the touch points that you may have within your organization. This is a combination of being able to understand the relationships you have with your consumers and clients, be able to pick up on the data points that comes from the interactions from all the different channels, and use that information to understand purchase behaviors so you can increase your revenue and profit. We look at this in terms of our next generation customer experience. Most organizations have some typical sales funnel. What we have done now is kind of look at this in terms of that customer journey and the different phases across your customer journey. This really is the collection of being able to consume information on whatever channel that a consumer is interacting with you with, be it email, microsites, chatbots, IoT devices, and for some organizations, we're even looking at things like wearables. The major objective, or one of the most foundational use cases, is to be able to collect this information and create a single omni-channel view of your customers or your consumers. This brings complexity because you're looking at all this disparate information that may be profile information from social media websites. It may be actual address information that comes from your delivery, and it may be email stuff that people are using to interact with your support channels. The best way to drive revenue and profits is to understand that customer experience and to leverage that customer experience to create a value exchange so you can actually make real-time product recommendations at the point of contact that your consumer chooses, where you have a wealth of knowledge to make real-time recommendations around next best actions, product recommendations, and things of that nature. Below on this chart, you see a series of different touch points like marketing, fulfillment, service, insights. What we like to say at TigerGraph is our objective is to create interaction and analytics at each one of those touch points to have the information in real time to make a decision to help any individual mature through this customer journey. There are several trends in the customer experience space that leads to increasing revenues and profits. If you go through and poll a lot of organizations, the most exciting opportunities with customer experience. We're in a space now to where customers have been able to clearly designate that organizations that communicate with them in a way that makes them feel comfortable, that treats them the same across all the channels, these are the organizations most consumers choose to do business with. This creates a large opportunity to increase your revenues and profits by understanding your customer behavior and experience. What this means is this process is all about the journey. How do you influence all of your profiles, your consumers, your clients to go through a journey as they go through their buying phase? What is the time of purchase for somebody who visits your website? When they visit your website, are they out there doing discovery? Are they doing product shopping? Are they trying to figure out what's the best combination of products? Are they looking for a particular product mix? Do they like a particular shoe but they want to change the color? These are all behavior patterns that you're trying to determine based on the information that's provided to you through all your different omni-channel touch points. Ultimately, one of the first things you want to be able to do is for your organization to define what that customer journey is, and to be able to track and monitor all your consumers as they go through that journey. And at each inflection point in the journey, also have a set of machine learning activities that will recommend next best actions and next steps to mature them along that phase. We are now in a point now to where it's just not enough to say someone has become a purchaser. We now have additional steps to curate individuals and consumers to make them become influencers, to make them become people that influence their network of friends and followers, be it on sites like Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok. And so now you want to have the ability to continue to promote and provide information to all your profiles so they can not only be part of that customer journey, but also become an influencing member in that journey as well. For a few moments, I'm going to give you guys a demo. We're going to give a demo using TigerGraph, and we're going to focus on a couple of the most important use cases for driving revenue within customer experience and customer 360. The first important thing you want to be able to do is to provide a real-time 360-degree view of your customers. In part of that, you also want to be able to do some type of entity resolution. Next, you have the ability to do marketing analytics. As you're communicating with your consumers, you want to be able to understand what campaigns they respond to, what activities cause them to sign up for a webinar or download your software. In addition to that, you also want to be able to say, how to identify my best customers and then find similar customers. These are things that will be part of some of the graph algorithms that are inherently built into graph database technology. The other thing you want to be able to do is, just like in most applications, you want to be able to make real-time interactions. So that is needed from having what we call a hybrid transaction and analytical platform. Having the ability to not only understand what action needs to be made, but also insert and add attributes to your database for additional learning that can come down the road. TigerGraph is a graph database. Our graph database is very visual, as you can see. And so what I'll do is I'll just give you a really 30-second high-level view of what this graph schema looks like. We have the concept of a profile, which is really a anonymous or blinded person within your database. They all have contact information that can consist of an email, a phone number, or a physical address. And they also will have something like a device that they may have called in on. And what you'll also see in this data model or schema is there's concept that comes from marketing analytics. You want to know the data source in which they came from. We also understand what purchases they made, what stores they bought from. And then we have data that represents all the different interaction channels that you may have in your organization, any campaigns that they have been promoted for or responded to, any posts that they have made on your social media websites, interactions with support through IVR systems, and then just general third-party interest data that you have picked up. As we kind of spoke about earlier, one of the first things you want to be able to do is to have a real-time 360-degree view of your consumer. We're going to do that and show that through TigerGraph's Explore Graph feature. It is the ability to quickly go out and look at information within your graph and go through and look at all the information associated with it. Through this visual editor, I'm going to tell TigerGraph to go look at my products and just get a random 15 products from out there. I go out and I get a visual representation of all these products. This is some New Balance shoes. This product is a 12 by 12 traditional family crest with basically some cookies. And then I also have the ability to begin to traverse my graph and look at all the components of it. And so after traversing this product, I immediately get a view of all the orders that this product was part of. We'll be able to leverage this same technology to get a real-time view of our customers. So in the same way of looking at products, I can go through and immediately go look at my customers. And now I've got a random 15 customers. I look at all the attributes or the labels that are part of our label property graph. And I can look at that for all the different customers that come through. Now, with this graph technology, I have the ability to quickly traverse this consumer by double clicking on it. And I have an immediate visual view of 360-degree data that comes from that consumer. I have his email address, the orders they're a part of, their phone number, and of course you can see that there's also some individuals that they're connected to. Not only can I do that for this consumer, but I can do that for other consumers. This data happens to come to us in real time because TigerGraph has the ability to do batch loading, micro batch loading, and real-time streaming loading. It's happening within a graph database that is completely ACID compliant, so you don't have to go through and rebuild your graph engine to get this real-time 360-degree view of your consumers. That's just the foundational component. Now we want to be able to leverage the foundational components to apply graph algorithms and other graph techniques to do some of the other components. So we'll actually look at some of the graph SQL, which TigerGraph calls G-SQL, to go look at some other components as well. The first use case we want to be able to do is to go through and do entity resolution. I have a series of profiles. Some of the data came from social media sites. Some of it came from my sales system. Some of it came from my support system. I want to be able to leverage the components that have been provided to quickly identify which of these profiles are the same. I'm going to run some logic that just has a rudimentary score that says if someone has the same address, phone number, and email, that they are the same consumer. In order for my graph database to know that, I'm going to create an edge that says these guys are the same consumer. So we're going to go through that process. We'll execute this code. It's going to go through and run an outer query. This is really just speaking to some of the complexities and the things that you can do in a graph database. And we're going to run some logic that says, go identify all the people that are the same. And we're going to say they're the same if they have the same phone number and the same address. From traditional marketing database analytics, you can do this to do individual stuff. You can do it to do householding and other different things to just add some enhancements to your marketing technology. To do that, we actually went through and updated and changed our graph in real time. So we ran that process and we actually went through and created 650 edges within this same profile edge to say that these people are one and the same. Now I can leverage that edge to determine who are my unique people. Other things that we want to do within this real-time concept is we have the ability to go through and just run traditional marketing analytics. I want to figure out what's the response rate for a particular campaign. Just like you would do in a traditional database like Oracle or MySQL, you have the ability to do OLAP type of queries inside of TigerGraph as well. I can do that not only with marketing data, but I can also go through the same thing and run a similar query for my sales analytics because I have sales data in here. So I can go through and run go look at my purchase data, aggregate it by category name, sales date, the items they purchased, and the total sales quantity. By default, TigerGraph releases this information in a JSON output, which can be pushed over to something like Tableau or Click to support your traditional BI and analytics. But now we want to get to the concept of being able to do graph analytics to improve that experience, to make sure that we can increase revenues, identify opportunities in real time. One of the first things we want to do is go through and find similar customers. So for this query, I've identified a person that I consider to be a high value customer, and I want to go find the people that look similar to them. So I'm just going to provide this query that accepts some parameters and variables. I'm going to give it its profile ID, and I'm going to tell it, go find the top 50 people that look just like it. And so it runs a graph algorithm, looks at the information within the graph database, and it goes out and finds the top people that look just like it. We won't spend a lot of time going through this, but essentially what it's going to do is it'll show you that of all these people that it's selected, their information is going to be predominantly the same. They're going to share the same information because I use the graph algorithm to figure out who they are. So if you look at the edges and the nodes that they're part of, they have some campaigns. I also have a couple of data sources that they're associated with. This guy has 3 orders, so I have his phone number. I can go look at the other people in this similarity query, and if you look at the edges, they're pretty much the same. They have roughly the same number of campaigns. They have roughly the same number of orders. They have roughly the same number of data sources. We're leveraging graph algorithms to quickly, in real time, go find similar customers. That can be turned into a marketing campaign. I've identified my top customers for the day. I know that these are products that they have purchased. Go find the next 1,000 people that are just like them and recreate this marketing campaign effort. It now becomes autonomous, continuous marketing because you don't have to go through and do post-processing down the road just to identify these things. We'll show one more graph query to go through and look at how to do product recommendations. Product recommendations is probably behind a lot of your e-commerce websites. It's one of the things that leads to additional sales. And Tiger Graph has graph algorithms that are able to produce product recommendations on a variety of levels. Most product recommendations run from a concept that says, go through and find a particular product they have purchased, look at that product description and values, and then go find similar products. For this actual product, for this recommendation engine, I've changed it a little bit. I want to look at the individual. I want to go find those similar customers, just like we did in the previous query. I want to find the products they purchased, and then I want to go find my similar products. And so I'm customizing my recommendation engine. And so it's a two-step process. I found the similar customers, I found the products that they purchased, then I made my recommendations based on that. That speaks to the customization that's available to make you have the ability to make recommendations that are customized for your particular product or service that you're selling. And just like in all cases, I have the ability to go through and traverse the subgraph based on the graph output that came from this query. We're going to spend a few more minutes kind of summarizing what we've talked about today. We're going to go through and allow Gaurav to share some additional information to follow up on this, but we'll go from there as well. So the one unspoken component of being able to make real-time product recommendations is having the ability to learn from those algorithms. As you go through and recommend products, recommend next best action, you also need to do some analysis on that to ensure that your recommendations are working correctly. That you need to refit your model. Tiger Graph supports that by saying every time you make a recommendation, you can insert changes into a value. You can go through and resubmit and rescore your algorithms, all within a HTAP or a hybrid transaction and analytical database that supports that. These capabilities actually do drive real impact to your business. Traditionally through the three top things, by having the ability to do cross-sell and upsell, having the ability to make real-time recommendations for your customers that are customized based on their profile information, based on their contact preferences, if they want to be contacted through email or through text messaging, and also to make those recommendations, understand the consumer preferences, not only from a product perspective, but from their individual consumer perspective. This also has the ability to improve customer satisfaction, because now I'm actually leveraging all the personalization components of the particular individual. If someone says, I would rather have you contact me, so you just send them a link to contact me. Or if someone wants to interact through some mobile app as opposed to getting emails. All those things contribute to customer satisfaction. Additionally, when you can go through and look at things to understand how to increase performance behaviors from a revenue perspective, you can also use these same algorithms to understand how to do customer retention. The inverse of this is, if I know what my best customers look like, I also know what my worst customers look like. I know what my churn customers look like. That becomes a graph pattern that you can also detect and do the inverse of that. This key function is probably one of the most valuable reasons to use a graph database over a relational database or a key value store database. Graphs have the ability to do not conditions in the same manner using the same performance techniques as they do equal conditions. So in a relational world, if you wanted to go find all the people that have not made a purchase or a particular product, you literally have to pass or scan every element in your database. And the graph database is just a pattern that you can now search for. Being able to leverage these concepts in real time, being able to actually push these concepts out to where they're connected to a website, to a call center, or some kind of chat bot. These are the things that dramatically improve the ability to do upsell and cross-sell, dramatically include your ability to improve your customer satisfaction score, and help you reduce churn, regardless of what your traditional business model is. There are a couple of reasons why we believe that organizations are choosing TigerGraph for customer experience. The first one is real-time decisioning. You now have the ability to put all of this machine learning in your hand and to have the performance and the scale to offer up real-time decisions that are integrated or embedded in your client-facing and your business analyst-facing applications. We have a use case where we have a large healthcare provider that's producing real-time care plans through their call center, where they have a concurrent use of about 3,000 call center agents. So whenever a consumer calls in, tries to make a doctor's appointment, it will make real-time care plans based on doctor's visits, wellness visits, prescription recommendations, and things of that nature. This speaks to the ability to say, I don't have to do this in a post process. I don't have to run a batch ML job. That whenever someone comes into my organization, I have that touch point for them. I can make product recommendations, next best action recommendations, and you can have different ML jobs based on the particular pillar of the organization. Is it customer support? Is it delivery? Or is it sales? The additional benefit of that is you now have the ability to do real-time consumer insights. You have the ability to not only understand the purchase patterns and behaviors of your consumers, but you can run machine learning to understand how to segment it based on what your consumers are doing. Traditional approaches like trying to segment people based on their demographic variables is not as effective as being able to segment people based on the way they interact with you as a customer. So now you have the ability to do community detection, understand which consumers are real high value influencers, which consumers actually promote your product without your assistance. Just new next generation ways of doing customer segmentation and customer marketing. And last but not least, what you're seeing is graph databases lend themselves to truly doing relationship building. If you can understand your customer journey, if you can understand the things that influence customers maturing across your life cycle, you can develop personalized one-on-one communications with all of your consumers that ultimately impact your bottom line revenue and performance. The last thing that I'll kind of speak about is Graph has two sides. There's a graph analytics part that leverages machine learning and AI. And then there's also a graph visualization part. TigerGraph supports the visualization components by offering up a graph toolkit for customer experience. This is a collection of objects that accelerate your deployment of any customer experience or customer 360 application. It comes pre-packaged with a set of machine learning algorithms for community detection, page rank, product recommendations, and similarity for customers, plus a set of UI screens that will allow you to do visualization and analytics across the similarity spectrum. This will focus on things like creating segmentation and targeting, producing product recommendations based on product class, and then understanding your customer preferences and community detection.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Let me just quickly run through the TigerGraph, 3 parts of TigerGraph that Steve talked about today. So if you can build out the chart, Steve, for me. Excellent. We have 3 components that make up TigerGraph. On the top, you see distributed graph database, where you're connecting all your data sets and pipelines. So Steve mentioned that United Health Group is one of the customers that's using Customer 360 with 200 data sets and pipelines. Over 23,000 call center agents use it every single day, and they've already saved over $150 million US dollars is the estimated saving for the year by improvement in call center efficiency alone. A Fortune 50 retailer is using us for Item 360 for their e-commerce across 100 different data sets. And the last example there is we are connecting, Xander is AdTech, advertising technology unit of AT&T, and we are connecting 50 different data pipelines there to create a customer 360. Again, the first facet, distributed graph database, is all about building a customer 360 and a single customer journey so that you can understand customers better. On the right-hand side, you see advanced analytics. I'll take the example of retail there. There's a couple of examples from manufacturing and telecom there, but retail example is where Steve mentioned that you find similar customers. You understand what is the best product for this customer to buy. You understand who is the customer who is likely to churn. All of that is advanced analytics that is run after you have connected all your data sets and pipelines. So advanced analytics is that second component that we do. And the third component is once you have connected data, you have analyzed the connected data, you learn from the connected data. This is where we are unique, that we provide an in-database machine learning capability. Wish.com is an online retailer, for example, that's using us for in-database machine learning for entity resolution as well as personalized recommendation. And you have another example there, Intuit. If you have used TurboTax, their parent company is Intuit Corporation, and they have built an AI-based customer 360 for 3 use cases: entity resolution, recommendation engine, and fraud detection. So do contact us, Steve and I, and we'll give you more information about each of these customers, detailed case studies, and so on and so forth. Let's go to the last chart, Steve. Go to tigergraph.com. The best part is you can start for free. Go to tigergraph.cloud at tigergraph.com/cloud, and you can start for free. There's a free tier where you can check out Tigergraph in cloud for free. There's also a free enterprise license up to 50 GB of raw data. You can go to tigergraph.com and request the same license there. There's a test drive, online demo, and last but not the least, we have a community of about over 10,000 developers now that's contributing to Tigergraph. So go and check us out and engage with us to find out more about how to transform your customer experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Stephen and Gaurav. I actually have Stephen here, and we have time for 2 questions. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. Does Tigergraph's query language have an order by function to detect and filter outliers?
Yes. So Tigergraph has the ability to do the order by, sort by, on any variable that's in the query. It actually happens through what we call an order by accumulator, very similar to something you would see in a language like Spark or PySpark.
Got it. Thank you so much for answering that question. The next question we have is, what aspect of personalization recommendations do you enjoy working on the most, and why?
Yeah, the part I like is being able to understand the patterns in which to segment people on. People have the tendency to, how do they get introduced to your company? How do they get introduced to your website? Was it from social media? Was it from an actual marketing message? That's become more valuable as opposed to trying to do segmentation based on demographic variables. So I like that component of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. I also wanted to mention that the last slide has some links there, so you could click on them and take Tigergraph for a test drive right from the console. So thank you so much, Stephen. The rest of the questions we could take to Slack, and we'll see you at the next session.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.